There is an old belief whispered across the forgotten villages of Eastern Europe, a belief older than kingdoms, older than churches, perhaps older than memory itself. People say that every forest hides a place where the world feels wrong, a place where the trees grow unnaturally close together, where shadows linger long after sunset, where the songs of birds suddenly cease, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. Most travelers never notice such places, and those who do rarely stay long. But the old stories warn that if you wander far enough from the safety of the road, if you follow the twisting paths deeper into the wilderness, you may one day find a clearing. And in that clearing stands a house, not abandoned, not forgotten, waiting. Its windows glow with a faint amber light. Its roof sags beneath the weight of countless winters. The wood is blackened with age, and beneath it rests something impossible. Two enormous bird-like legs, motionless. At first, then slowly, the house begins to turn, as though it has noticed you, as though it has been expecting you all along. The old villagers believed that if you ever found such a place, your fate had already been decided, because the owner of the house knew you were coming long before you ever entered the forest, long before you stepped onto the path, perhaps even before you were born. Her name was Baba Yaga. For centuries, her legend haunted the forests and villages of the Slavic world. Mothers frightened their children with warnings about her. Hunters spoke of her only in hushed voices beside dying campfires. Travelers left offerings before venturing into the wilderness, not because they expected to meet her, but because they feared they might. Descriptions of Baba Yaga vary from tale to tale. Some portray her as a withered old woman with iron teeth and eyes that gleam like embers in the dark. Others tell of a figure who flies through the night sky inside a giant mortar, steering her strange vessel with a wooden pestle, and erasing her tracks with a broom made of birch. Yet all stories agree on one thing. Her home stands behind a fence built from human bones. The skulls mounted upon its posts glow with a pale, ghostly fire after sunset. And according to legend, those skulls once belonged to travelers who failed to leave her forest. But what truly frightened people was not her appearance, it was her nature. Because nobody knew what Baba Yaga really was. A witch, a spirit, a forgotten goddess, or something far older than any of those names. She could guide the lost, she could reward the brave, she could reveal hidden knowledge, or she could devour anyone foolish enough to cross her path. There were no rules, no bargains, no promises, and that made her far more terrifying than any monster. The most terrifying creatures are often the easiest to understand. Predators hunt, spirits haunt, monsters kill. Baba Yaga could do any of those things, or none of them, and that uncertainty made her more frightening than any monster. But the strangest stories were not about Baba Yaga herself. They were about the place where she lived. According to old legends, Baba Yaga's hut stood on the border between worlds. It was more than a home hidden deep within the forest. It was a doorway, a place where the world of the living touched something far older and unknown. People believed that the hut on chicken legs never remained in one place for long. It could appear in the heart of a remote forest and vanish without a trace the very next day. Some said it was impossible to find by accident. The hut revealed itself only to those it chose. That is why so many stories about Baba Yaga begin the same way, with a traveler who has lost their path. As darkness fell, the forest seemed to change. Familiar trails disappeared. The trees grew taller. The shadows stretched longer, and with every step, the traveler wandered deeper into the wilderness. Then, somewhere between the trees, a light would appear. A faint glow from a single window, the last hope for someone who no longer knew the way home. But not every traveler understood what they had found, because stepping inside Baba Yaga's hut was far easier than leaving it. Some were never seen again, others returned, but they were never quite the same. They spoke of voices whispering from the darkness, of strange tracks among the trees, and of an old woman who seemed to watch their every step. Yet the most surprising part of the legend is that Baba Yaga was not always a villain. The old tales say she never gave answers freely. Everyone who came to her doorstep faced a test. The lazy were punished. The greedy were turned away. The arrogant were taught painful lessons. But those who showed courage, respect, and kindness were sometimes rewarded. She offered wisdom. She revealed hidden paths, or gifted magical objects that could change a person's fate. That is what makes Baba Yaga so different from the monsters of modern stories. She was never simply evil. She was part of the forest itself, an ancient force that could never be fully understood. Neither good nor evil, only powerful. But perhaps the greatest mystery remains unanswered. Where did Baba Yaga come from? No one truly knows. Some historians believe she may have been inspired by ancient Slavic wise women who lived close to nature, who understood healing herbs, old rituals, and the secrets of the forest. To some villagers they were respected, to others they were feared. Over time, stories grew, facts became legends, and legends became myths. But there is another theory. Some believe Baba Yaga was never meant to represent a person at all. They believe she was something much older, a spirit of the wilderness itself, a force that existed long before villages, roads, or kingdoms, a guardian standing at the border between the known world and the unknown. Perhaps that is why her home is always hidden deep within the forest, and why travelers only seem to find it when they have lost their way. For centuries, the stories changed. New details appeared. Old meanings faded away. Yet the image remained the same. An old woman, a lonely hut, a dark forest, and a warning to anyone who wandered too far from the safety of home. Perhaps that is why the legend survived for so long. Because deep down, every culture remembers the same fear. The fear of crossing the edge of the familiar world and discovering something waiting in the darkness beyond. For generations, stories about Baba Yaga were told throughout the forests and villages of the Slavic world. From one winter evening to the next, from one generation to another, villages disappeared. Old roads were swallowed by grass. Many ancient legends faded away. But the story of the old woman who lived in a hut on chicken legs endured. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Even today, people continue to tell her story. Yet no one can say with certainty how much of the story is myth, and how much was once believed to be real. And as long as that question remains unanswered, her legend will never truly disappear.